Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of the Power Within podcast. My name is Trevor Evers. I'm your host. And in this episode, I have on a fantastic guest, another inspiring person with an inspiring story. Her name is Melanie Hargrove, and she is a hypnotherapist based in Swords in Dublin. And her main area of expertise is weight loss. And I'm delighted to have Melanie on the Power Within podcast today. Melanie, how are you, my friend?
Hi, Trevor. How are you? Thanks for having me on. I'm good.
I'm great, thanks. And it's great to have you on. And thanks very much for your time. Melanie, the first question I'm going to ask you, how did you get into hypnosis yourself? How did you?
I always feel that hypnosis found me, Trevor, to be honest with you. I kind of fell into it, but I had been using hypnosis, I suppose, over the years without even realizing that that's what I was doing. In fact, many years ago, when I was pregnant on my first child, so you're talking like 20 years ago, I was hypnotized for a fear of needles, and well, it was more just the fear of going into hospital. So that was my very first introduction to hypnosis, and unfortunately, I didn't finish I don't know how many sessions I was lined up to do at the time, but I didn't get to finish it because I actually went into labour. And I think it was actually my second session. I had to text the hypnotherapist and say, "Sorry, I can't make it in. I'm actually on my way to Rotunda."
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if it worked, but apparently the nurses at the time were all saying, "Oh my God, she was hypnotized." So they thought it went well. I had nothing to compare it to. And then that progressed. I used it, as I said, before I actually started learning about it properly. I'd used hypnosis to quit smoking. Like looking back, I can see that I was self-hypnotizing, but at the time, as I said, I think it's something I've kind of always done. I've always been, I suppose, started with affirmations. I've always been really, from a very young age, really interested in psychology, the power of our mind, and more so with the healing. I always believed that we could heal ourselves. I'd be leaning towards natural healing. So I was always in those circles, and then hypnosis just seemed to be like a natural progression. I don't know how, I just kind of came across it more and more, and then I ended up studying it, and here I am. But it seemed to just land on my path. I've always it was just so easy for me to get into it. That
You're natural, so
I always feel that
yeah.
it found me. It was just like it came out of nowhere. And then it was only when I started learning about it, as I said, I looked back and kind of went, I've always been doing this. I just didn't know that that's what I was doing.
Sure.
Now it's like a practice. It's every day. Like it's just something you do. I'm sure you're the same. You don't even think about it, but your mind is just always putting in suggestions. I'm actually really aware. Like now, actually recently I went to a fortune teller. I was just for the crack. A friend was going. I said, right, I'll go with you. And something she said, I was like, I am not accepting that suggestion. Like I'm very aware of suggestions. So it's both ways with giving them and obviously taking them on. So it's just
Sure.
something that I live every day. My daughter now she's 19, and she's texting me on the bus, I have a hangover, and it's gone by the time she gets off the bus because she's huge into it now. And
Right.
so it's very much alive and well in our family. As I said, she practices for everything now, and it's brilliant because at that young age, I'm just going, if she can do that, like 19, like, can you imagine now if I started my journey that young, I just go, God, the potential for that now is amazing, because you really can, as you know, like it can bring you a lot of places, and it really can just
Absolutely.
be positive in all areas of your life. So yeah, it's exciting. Exciting.
Absolutely. And sometimes like things just fall in our lap, don't they?
Yeah,
And we kind of follow the
100%.
breadcrumbs to where they lead. I know,
Yeah.
like for my point of view of my situation, I was made redundant back in 2010 here in Waterford. from
Okay.
a company, and I used to be a quality engineer, folks, a different life. And so all my degrees and all, like back in the 90s, like I'm not, I took a completely different path at that point,
Yeah.
because when 2010 came and the redundancy happened, it was at that point I'd kind of like become a bit disillusioned with the whole corporate world, and you kind of become lost in the mix and that, and I wasn't fulfilling, and was this what
Mm.
life was all about? And I knew I wanted to do something else deep down, but you're not
Yeah.
sure what that is.
Well, that's it.
And it just happened to be where a course just dropped in my lap from the National Guild of Hypnotists, the NGH, that was being ran in Ireland and down in Cork in Ireland by a gentleman. His name is Martin Kiley. Hi, Martin, if you're watching. And and the story began from there. But it wasn't. Sometimes things in life just happen, don't they?
It. Yeah, I'd
And
always been doing jobs like yourself,
yeah,
Trevor, where I felt I might have been very good at them, but there was always something missing. And
mm,
I always have helped people. Like and I got to the point where I was like, I'm actually doing this, but I'm not getting paid for it. Like I'm the person on the bus that that person sits beside and tells their whole life to. So it's something I naturally do. So I love it for that point of view. It's very, from an egotistical point of view, it's really fulfilling, because you get to help, really, essentially, you're helping people. And I had worked like years ago in gyms and stuff, like fitness instructor, personal training, and I loved that because you'd get to
yeah,
bring someone on a journey and you'd see people just their confidence going from zero to, through the roof, and you'd see just them transform. And it's the same with hypnosis. You see that, like, I mean, if you have a few sessions, for me, like my weight loss, it's 6 sessions spread over 2 weeks. So I'm with that person for 12 weeks, and you really get to know them. And like, even in between sessions, we'll have emails and texts. In fact, I have a client at the moment who just texts me to say that they got engaged. So you spend a lot of time and you
brilliant.
get to see, yeah, no, it's brilliant. And you get to see that transformation. And I love that. And it really is just like a butterfly, isn't it? Just blooming. So that's the part of the job
Absolutely.
that I love. I really, the difference in people is something else now, as you know yourself now, Trevor. But yeah, I just love that.
Absolutely. And it's a life-changing process.
It is, and it's
And
something that they can, you know, use and dip into. And yeah, they come in for one thing, but I don't know, you'll see them again. I mean, I've had families in what may have started off for a quit smoking session, turned into something else, and then you have sons, like families. I've had families coming into me, and probably they would never have considered hypnosis in the past, but it's now they go, well, if it can do this, well, what else can it do? And it is a case of, that's one thing I'm there going, what else can it do? I don't even think we are aware of the potential. That's the way I feel about hypnosis. It's just like, what is the potential? I think we're just tipping, it's the tip of the iceberg. I'm there going, like, in 30, 50 years, I think it's just going to be so much more information about it. It's really an untapped resource. That's the way I feel about it, and I'm excited to see what it can do and where you can go with it. And I think by being outside of clients, to be playful with it and to just play around with it.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I don't, that's on my list for this year, like, is to just get a bit more relaxed with it. Forget about, as I said, if you have clients, you have your goal, you're working towards a result, but just to start using it more in a playfulness, where there's no pressure. Let's just see what we can do here. And I think that'll be, yeah, like, I mean, who knows where we'll go with that, you know? So
Exactly.
that's on my list to do this year. Yeah, just to see
Great
what
stuff.
else,
So we
yeah,
can
what we're
practice
missing out
with
on.
our, I mean, like we can have some fun with our family with it, can't we? And friends. and we
Well,
can
they say
live.
never to practice with your family. Like, in fairness, they're the worst subjects.
Well, they
But
are. They are.
yeah, yeah, your confidence could take a nosedive with them.
Indeed, indeed.
Mm,
I do have, in fairness, some good fun with my kids, and
yeah,
I'm doing it. But like when it comes to hypnosis, there are members of my family that I can think of that I can definitely agree with you on that one. That maybe it's
yeah.
best to.
Oh, well, I have my brother is in Cork, and he's been asking me now. He's like, Mel, will you do a session? Will you do a session? Like, and I'm just there going, oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
Because they say, yourself, they say don't work with,
they
yeah,
do. They do. Yeah.
because they don't see, they just don't listen, Trevor. But look, I will do a session with them. I think it's just, sugar cravings are getting the best of them. So, I'll do a session for them with that and just sort it out for them. But yeah, I've been putting it off now. I have been putting it off because he never listens. So no, but we'll get it done. And yeah,
Great stuff.
yeah, as
Uh,
I said, I love it.
So you're based in Swords. Like, have you an
Yeah.
office in Swords?
Yeah, I'm
Yourself?
in Gym Plus in Applewood and Swords, so which is great because, as I said, my number one, thing is weight loss. So I'm in a gym, so that is great. So when people are
Brilliant.
coming in, they were walking through the gym, and yeah, so it worked out that way. That's where I'm based, and yeah, no, I obviously, you've all sorts coming through, but yeah, I'm there now the last 2 years, and yeah, word of mouth is starting to spread and getting busier and busier. And as I said, the
Epiphany
location, the fact,
hypnosis, isn't it? Sorry to quick
Epiphany
question.
Hypnotherapy, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So that's where I am. If anyone wants to come visit me, yeah, as I said, I'm in the gym there. And so perfect, So they're actually, anyone coming in for weight loss, they're getting suggestions the whole way through. It's a
Yeah.
walk through the reception. So they're surrounded by, obviously, good suggestions. But obviously, as you know, it's not all about weight gyms and weight loss. As I said, my whole thing when it comes to weight loss, I try to, when it comes to exercise, I frame it in a completely different way. I don't really send, like, my suggestions aren't go upstairs to the gym and start working out for an hour. It's all about making it fit into their life. So I want it to be fun. Obviously, I want it to be safe and I want it to be effective. But I'm all
Sure.
about thinking outside the box. I like to think of exercise as a form of play. Like when you think of your kids, if you look at your kids, like they are exercising a lot, but they're just playing and they're having fun. But if you think about like all the movements they do, like tumbling, jumping on the couch, they're out running around, they're on the go
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah,
That's
indeed.
exercise. So
Absolutely.
that's the way I kind of look at it. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be like this thing. It can be just dancing around your kitchen to your favorite song, get a hula hoop, go out on the trampoline with the kids, just start moving. So anything that you do today that you weren't doing yesterday, that's progress. So I kind of like to fit it to a client's lifestyle, and not make it this big daunting task that, like, if someone hasn't been in a gym, the chances, like, that's going to be quite a feat to get into a gym. So let's make it work. If it is a case that they used to do Pilates or whatever, let's look at that and get them back into it. Like, but you know yourself, if it's fun, you're going to do it. Like, I mean, you're going to do it if it's fun. So
You are.
I'm like,
You are.
yeah, if you're cooking and you have like 10 minutes for the potatoes to be boiling, I'm like, use that 10 minutes, put on your song, squat in the kitchen, do your
Yeah.
lunges across. That's the way I frame it.
Absolutely.
So it
It's a
tends
great
to work.
it's a great philosophy to have because like, and I have the same, I integrate the same into my weight reduction program here, that, if somebody isn't going to do something if they look at it as a chore. Now, whether it
Exactly.
be eating in a certain way or eating healthy foods, or whether it be exercise or activity, it needs to
Yeah.
be integrated in a seamless way into our lives. just like brushing their teeth and going to bed, before they go to bed.
It is. It's a lifestyle. It's not
Yeah.
like it is something that that person has to stick with for their. That's the way I look at it. It's not a quick fix. This is a long-term practice. Like it's a way of life. So small little nudges. I'm all about the nudge. Small little things that you can do. You add those up, you're going to see a difference, and it doesn't have to be
Absolutely.
hard. Like that's the thing. And I think no matter what it is, whether it's weight loss or anything else, I think it's that getting into someone, and actually getting beneath whatever the issue is and go, look, this does not have to be heard. That's the block. So a lot of the time, we're actually bringing people out of hypnosis. We're dehypnotizing them. And like you get people coming in and they're nervous of the process of hypnosis. I've never done this and whatever. And a lot of the
Yeah.
time, you're actually bringing them out of hypnosis because you're already in hypnosis. You've already been telling yourself for 20 years that you can't do this or it's going to be hard or whatever. And I suppose I look at it like, well, my job is actually just to dehypnotize you. And I
Yeah.
like to think about it, if someone has that way of thinking, it tells me that they have a very, very powerful mind. So why some people go, oh, there's something wrong with me. I can't stop thinking about chocolate. I can't stop eating at night, whatever. Well, you have a very strong mind, but you've just been using it in the wrong way. So we're not taught really how to use our minds, but we are already programmed from, day dot, and we don't do ourselves any service. So we're usually just putting in the wrong suggestions. We're already hypnotizing ourselves. So it's just to switch that and to use our minds in the right
That's right.
way. And I think that's all it is.
It's the same as smoking cessation as well, that when people come
Yeah,
to see me, they're in a smoking trance.
that's it. And it's just to take them out of it,
Yeah.
and go, look look at the power of your mind. Look at what you can do if you just have the tool to do it or are shown the right way to do it. And I think it's very true, and it just makes it a lot easier because people think they're going in and it's this big process, but actually they're already doing it, and we just need to show them how to do it in a way that meets their best, brings out the best in them. That's the way. And I'm all about, as
That's
I
right.
said, yes, it's weight loss, but my catch, you'll see on my logo, it's realize your potential. So that's what we're always trying to do, is to bring out the best in someone else, no matter if it's weight loss, anxiety. It's always the same, really. We're just peeling back those layers and getting underneath the issue. And I think no matter what someone comes in, that's where it stems from. It's all about a journey within. I think that's what hypnosis does. You're going on a journey
Absolutely.
within yourself, and you're learning about yourself. It's just it's about your own self-worth, your self-value. It's about your own power, and hypnosis really hands you the keys to unlock your own potential. That's how I see it. We're just there walking beside that person and
Absolutely. We allow
guiding
them
them.
to access the power within, which is the name of this podcast.
Exactly. I didn't even think of that, Trevor.
There you
Yes,
go.
the power within. you
Yeah.
know, I couldn't have done that if I tried.
Yeah, but
But
in many
that's what it
ways,
is
isn't it
about.
true? I know what you're saying, because like we are the facilitators of a
Mm.
very powerful process, and hypnosis is a fantastic um, tool, a
Yeah,
technique to
yeah,
help anyone make a transformational change in their life. But at the same
that's it.
time,
Mm.
they must be ready to make that change and want to make that change and be at the threshold
Yeah,
to make it. Um, because ultimately, like, we're empowering them to help themselves.
that's it. Yeah. I used to think that was a cop out. Like, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I have to want it. But it's so true. I used to, like,
Yeah,
before I really knew hypnosis, I was like, that's just a way out, but it is everything.
yeah,
And actually, it's all about, I mean, we can only help someone if they're willing to help themselves. And you get as much out of it as you're willing to give. So you have to, like, it is like a dance, really, isn't it? Sometimes we lead, sometimes they lead, and it's you're working together all the time. But that person in front of you has to want the change, or else they're just going to reject the suggestions. And I think sometimes, yeah, like it's hard for people to get that, but it's so true. And that is across the board in life. You have to want it. It's not just about hypnosis, without any shadow of doubt. No matter what changes you're going to make, you have to want it, or else you're just not going to do it, or you'll just lie to
Yeah.
yourself or kid yourself, hide behind your excuses. You'll start saying, oh, well, I tried that, but it didn't work. Well, no, you didn't really try. Like, you know, that way you might have said it, but you have to want it. And it's not a case of doing it because someone else wants it for you. You have to want it. And that's, you're just giving yourself the best chance, really, isn't it? But as I said, that's not a hypnosis thing. That's across the board for
Indeed.
so many things, really.
Indeed. And like we're our clients helping our clients, when we help them feel better about themselves,
Yeah,
then they're more likely to want to do, you know, to act on the suggestions that we give them. You know, whether
yeah.
that's eating more nutritious foods or be
Mhm.
more active.
Well, that's it.
If
It's
they're
not a magic
enjoying it, if they're
wand.
enjoying
Yeah,
doing it and they're getting a reward from it and they're getting feelings of pride and success,
yeah. Well,
that's
I always, as I said, bring it back to, yes, I have a goal, and yes, I am trying to get this person to help themselves. And it's all about reaching their goal, getting them to lose weight. But put that aside, it's actually more than that. It's about that person recognizing and valuing themselves enough. Now, enough to make those changes and actually to say, actually, I'm worth it. I'm going to do this because I'm worth it, you know, and not to, and that is so much more valuable than anything else. Like, even if now they obviously they lose weight, but even if there wasn't a weight loss, that journey just
that's right.
spreads out into so many other areas of their life. And I find that with weight loss clients, they make other changes. It's not the, yeah, they change their eating habits, they start exercising, they portion control, stress, all of that is included. But they also start, I've noticed their boundaries start to strengthen. They start actually speaking up more. They may make changes in their work. They may, you know, not accept certain behavior that perhaps they were before. It ripples into every area of their life, and that's because you're building up a person. You know, you're building them from the inside to create the outside. And
That's right.
that's what I love about weight loss. Yes, it's great to see people fit into a pair of jeans that they haven't fit into. Brilliant. But it's the other side, it's the deeper stuff, because it is a journey within. And they just flourish. And I love it because they just, you see that confidence just get stronger and stronger every time you see them. And as I said, I've had people make massive changes, move houses, go on holidays, like, you know, massive stuff that they would never have done. And yeah, they've lost weight, and as I said, they're feeling great. Their energy, even, you know, their health issues have got better. But it's the other side that just, I think that is the strongest. You know,
Yeah,
I think that is the most amazing gift someone can give themselves, is that to recognize their own self-worth and to value themselves enough just to start living in the way that they want. And
that's
I
right.
think that is, yeah, I love
And
it.
hasn't that changed so much over the years? Because like when I started doing hypnosis 14, 15 years ago, it was very much a focus in on, like, you'd have my client up on the scales and,
Right,
you know, you're
yeah.
focused on the weight
The
loss.
numbers. Yeah.
So I know what you're saying there is that it's like when people come to see us, it's a whole lifestyle change, isn't it? It's not just
Yeah.
about the end product, yes,
Mhm.
but it's
They
almost,
don't realize when they come in first how they, when someone comes in, they just think, right, I'm here to get on top of my sugar cravings, or, you know, I'm not happy, I can't stop eating, you know, I'm eating so much chocolate. They come in because they're struggling with this part that they just can't get a control of, and they want, you know, it's out of control. They have that feeling of being out of control. Obviously they're not happy with the way they look. They've no idea how much of a journey they're going to go on, you know, and
sure.
I think that surprises them. You
Uh,
know, it
have you
is.
found any circumstances where your clients would appear, obviously, initially to lose weight, but
Yeah,
you find it's actually some other issue, and
yeah,
the emotional eating and comfort eating is just a symptom of that other
of
issue.
course. Yeah, well,
That
nine
can
times
happen,
out of
can't
10.
it, as well?
Yeah, well, it is mostly that is the case. Like, yeah, like they say, the problem is never the problem. But
Mm,
yeah, like, I mean, well, that's why I start, like, as I said, it's all the layers. And that's why that inner journey and that self-value is so important, because it's, yeah, the weight loss is a symptom, or the weight gain, I should say, or whatever. That's a symptom of a bigger issue. And yes, I mean, I've been in sessions where, I've had an elderly lady actually, and I was going through what should have been a regular weight loss session, and then it turned out that, she was sexually assaulted as a child, and that came up. So obviously, completely, weight loss went out the window. Forget about weight loss. This is the issue we need to deal with, and
sure.
completely different session. And, I think, so this woman was quite old, so she'd carried that for like over 50 years,
Wow.
and actually why it came up, it was like, we're going through it, and she said she couldn't, we were working on exercise, and she literally physically could not bring herself to walk out the door. She said, I every time, because I was like trying to just grab, she was quite old, she had a few joint issues, so I was like, right, we're going to just start off with walking. And because I wasn't going to have her going up and down stairs just with her joints and stuff, I thought, right, that's the easiest way. And she
Sure.
said she just froze at the door. She literally couldn't get out the door. So I just asked her, do you want to look at that? Do you think, are you happy to have a look at that to see why that's happening? And that's where we ended up. It was, yeah. So back to, sexual assault in childhood. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's deeper issues at play. Now, obviously, it's different for everyone, but there are deeper issues at play, and there always are. So we're going to look at those, and there's no point in just dealing with, the symptoms, like you said. We need to get to the core of it and really find out what it is that's blocking this person from achieving, or, achieving the best that they can be. What is stopping them? And just removing that hurdle and just letting them just step forward. And yeah, so it is deeper, and it does go deeper. And yeah, as I said, so it really is a journey that people go on. Now, as I said, not everyone is going to have that, but there will be a deeper issue. There is
Yeah.
always a deeper issue.
You do a 6-session weight
Yeah,
loss
it's
program.
6 sessions. That's the way I have it, because I want to cover everything. Like, I want to cover, sugar craving, whatever. Well, obviously, some people have whatever their issue is, but I go through everything. And obviously, stress, sleep, I want to look at motivation, portion size. It's focused as well on quality over quantity. I think that's really, I'm not telling
That's
people
right.
you're not allowed to have anything, but just have a small, it's all about portion control. So there's so much really that we need to cover. And I mean, you can't expect someone to lose weight in a week either. So I think 12 weeks it's a good amount of time. And by the end of that 12 weeks, they have the tools they need to carry on. So more importantly, it doesn't stop at 12 weeks. And really, it only
Yeah,
begins at 12 weeks, because
that's
they're
right.
starting their life, but they feel supported and they have the tools. And we have just cleared out all the junk that wasn't serving them, and we've built back up. It's just, you have to get the foundation right and then start building. So I think 12 weeks it's a good, as I said, it's a good amount of time, but you need that, like, you need those 6 sessions to really, if you want to focus in on everything, which I do, I really do. But I go through it
Sure.
all. So yeah,
Would
I
you give
think
your
that it's
clients a little bit
important.
of homework in between the sessions as well then?
Yeah, well, sometimes, yeah. Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
am in touch with them between sessions. I'd be sending them like aerobic workout videos that I want to see them doing
yeah,
around their
yeah.
house. I will have them write, when they first come in, I have them write down their goal, their target weight, when they want to do it. I have them pin that up, so they're saying that every day. I'm checking in with them. I'm checking in with them, Trevor, to make sure that they are staying on course and doing what they're, as I said, the first session, there really is a lot of information. I give a lot of tips. I check in, what's their current eating habits, lifestyle, everything. So, and I'm also, giving them new information, new ways of basically implementing changes. So I want to check that they're doing it. And more importantly, if they are having a week or something happens in work or stress levels go up, to tell me so that I can put that into their next session. Or if something isn't working, well, I want to know about it. So don't pretend that, yeah, everything's fine. Tell me so that I can use it and help them, So that's, yeah, there is a bit of communication between sessions. So,
Sure.
just.
But once after the 6 sessions are completed, as you said already, they are empowered with the tools and techniques as well to continue on the journey they're on. And it's really just, as you said, the start of the journey.
Oh, it is,
in many respects.
Yeah, it is. It's, as I said, it's not like a diet. It's not like a quick fix. It is a lifestyle change. And so it is the start. And if they need to come back in 6 months for a little top up, motivation, perfect. But leaving that door, in fact, it's funny because there was a few times, but there was once that springs to mind. I had a lady in the waiting room who was coming in for her first weight loss session. So she was beginning her session, like her journey. And I had another lady who had just finished. So they passed each other by and in the waiting room. And the lady that came into me was like, oh my God, that lady that left was glowing, like her smile. And she really noticed this woman leaving. And then by the end of her 12 weeks, she was that person glowing. And I was like, well, that's going to be you. But she actually noticed the woman passing her. She goes, if you'll get that. And I was like, well, you will get that, And it was great the way she saw it, And it was just, it was one of those moments where it was like, one was starting and the other one had been in her shoes, that way 12 weeks prior. Yeah, brilliant. It was a nice moment. Yeah, it really was.
Brilliant. And after the six weeks, like, they're empowered to help themselves. Excuse me. They're empowered to help themselves, aren't they? And,
absolutely.
I know that, like, I do a 4-session weight reduction program, and one of the main components of it, I think it's very important, is I teach my clients mindful eating.
Yeah.
So and that helps them establish a good relationship with food and their bodies as well, and to listen to their bodies.
Yeah.
Because
I think
in the modern world, who does that?
They're surprised by how surprised by how fast they eat. So I think I set it up that, they have to give themselves a half an hour, 4 meals at the table. There's no screen time. You're not allowed to eat in front of a TV. I sound like I am putting rules in, but yeah, there's no TVs. It's basically you and your food, and it is mindful eating. That's exactly what it is. It's slowing down, it's chewing your food, putting your knife down in between those, mouthfuls, cutting your food up into small pieces. And it becomes it sounds so simple, but that takes a bit of practice.
It does. But you've said it already, less is more, is quality over quantity, isn't it?
It is. So have something nice and really, really enjoy it, savor it. And the funny thing is, they don't want it after. They actually, and that surprises people. They're going, yeah, I didn't want it. The want is gone, which, that takes out, if you don't want it, then it doesn't make it difficult. It's easy. You feel like you're satisfied. You've had enough. And whereas before, like, people are trying to fill, I suppose, like a hole. For some people, it is, you're filling a hole. But that whole mindful eating is so important. And then mealtimes become, I suppose, even more enjoyable, because it's a time perhaps people weren't sitting at the table, they're talking maybe with the family more. That's what I mean, it spreads out into other areas. But if you're eating in front of the TV, again, I just say you're already in hypnosis, because you're just, you're not minding most of the time you're just so absorbed with what you're watching that you're not even aware of how fast you're
Sure.
eating. So you're already in hypnosis. So again, we're taking them out of it and going, actually, no, come back to me here, sit down
Yeah.
and be aware of what you're doing and enjoy it. Enjoy it. But like that, as I said, it sounds so simple, but it can take a little bit of practice. So again, yeah, the timing, as I said, I spread it out over 2 weeks. So that gives people time to practice and for me to say, right, well, how's it going? Is it fitting into your routine? Or if people are traveling, which a lot of work people, they might be traveling, they may not have the, dinner table, they may not have access to doing the shopping. So it's finding ways around any issues like that that we can still keep you on track and make it work. So you're always kind of jumping over any hurdles that are put in front of you to make it, implement it into someone's life. Again, you don't want it being hard, you want it to be easy. And it
Yeah.
can be easy. That's
Keep it
the
simple.
thing. Yeah, and I think
Mm.
people think, again, they're already hypnotized. Oh, it's going to be so hard. It's going to be so hard. I'm not going to be able to eat this. And oh, I'm going to be missing out. And it doesn't have to be that way. So that's the other side. Like, it can be enjoyable.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And, when my clients come to see me, whether it be for smoking cessation or weight reduction, one of the first things, like I do say to them, is that, you know what, this is going to be easy for you to do here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, when it comes to smoking cessation, I know we're getting off the topic of weight reduction a little bit, and it applies to weight reduction as well.
Yeah.
If somebody thinks something is going to be hard, which, like in the smoking cessation world, there's a powerful suggestion put out by the media, the
Yeah.
medical establishment, and so on, that quitting smoking is really, really difficult.
Mm.
Now,
I've had a
willpower,
look at the
yeah, well, willpower is only a 5% success rate, and part of the reason for that is that people are thinking from the get-go
I
that
can't do it.
it's going to be a really hard thing to do. In actual fact, it's relatively easy. It's a lot easier than people may think, and it's the same
Right, I've done it.
situation.
Done it, Trevor, and
Oh, there
I
you
had
go.
tried. Like, it was so easy. Like, it was so easy because I had tried, like, I'd smoked for 20 years. And the only times I stopped was when I was, pregnant or, wanting to have kids. But apart from that, like, I had tried and I was like, I just had it fixed in my head that I can't. But hypnosis, it was so easy. It was just like turning
Yeah,
on a light switch. Now, I'm not saying I didn't have the odd thought of a cigarette, but I didn't
brilliant,
act on it. So it
brilliant,
is okay, and
brilliant. Well, it
it's
just
that,
goes back to the whole thing where we create our own reality,
yeah,
and we are what we tell ourselves, what we think about, what we focus on. And
100%.
really, I mean, the difference between easy and hard in many respects is a perspective. If you're sitting in your car
A
without the
thought.
keys, it's hard to drive, you know.
Mm.
So it depends on who you ask whether something is easy or hard. But
Yeah, and you want to be careful you don't ask that wrong person, because you're always going to have that one person where everything is hard.
yeah,
And it is about, it is about creating your own reality. And too often it's just, we need to switch off that voice, that self-doubt, that niggling voice that everyone has.
that's
Like we
right.
were talking earlier, Trevor,
Absolutely.
about you know, things can be scary and it can be a bit daunting to try things. But we look at people and we think, oh well, they're fearless. Well, I bet you those people have the same fears, the same doubts that we all have, but they just don't give into them, or they just don't allow themselves to be stopped by them. And it is about turning that volume down and turning up a more positive one, even if at the start you don't believe it, just pushing it in there until it just becomes a natural. And and I think hypnosis is so subtle sometimes that you're doing something and it's only in the middle of doing it, someone else might point out, oh, something has changed, and you may not even notice it yourself. But it is just about feeling the fear, I suppose, and doing it anyway, isn't it? And just turning down, like we all have those doubts. We all, in some area of our life, I think everyone has that. And I think hypnosis is a brilliant tool for just quieting that down and just allowing us to take action anyway, despite the fear or despite whatever it is, just to turn it down and just move it out of the way so you can move forward.
Absolutely. And I know from meeting you in person, I met you at the Christmas party last December.
Don't mention the bad dance moves,
Yeah,
Trevor.
and it was definitely something that,
That was a workout on the
well,
dance
it
floor,
was,
that
but
and
just,
everyone.
but I was very taken and impressed by your enthusiasm and, your passion for hypnosis and the work that you do.
Mm.
I think that definitely comes across. That is something that you love doing. You really live it, don't
It
you?
is. It is. It's just a part of my life. It's just something. It's who I am. It's part of who I am. It's, as I said, like my kids now use it without even thinking. Like it's just something. It's helped me so much in my life. And and I'm not saying, like, there's so many different ways. I always say, like, there's the scenic route, there's so many roads lead to the one direction, but for me hypnosis was the road that got me where I wanted to go. So I believe in it, that way. So I really believe in it, and I just think it's underused. And I don't think people, there still is that bit of hesitancy or fear, and it's needless. I just think it's a learning tool, and it's in all of us. It's just a different way of doing things, a different way of learning. And I think we don't know enough about ourselves. We don't know enough about our brain. We don't know enough. And I just think hypnosis is, an untapped resource. And yeah, I just, as I said, I know I keep saying I love it, but I do, because I see it, I live it, and I see it, what it does for other people who may end up before you because they are desperate and they have tried other things and they've probably spent a fortune. And people are really who are going, they feel that they can't be helped, and actually they can, and they can help themselves. That's the thing. It's not this external thing that you have to do. It's within it is, now I'm going to say it now, Trevor, the power within.
The
And
power within.
it is, and it's kind of guiding
Yeah,
people or directing people to themselves, like a lighthouse, really, isn't it? Bringing the
and
ship
it
home.
is.
Yeah. And that's why I am passionate about it, because I don't know, I genuinely love seeing people being happy, and love hearing when things are going well for people. And I get happy for them. And I just think, we live in times where, everything's hard, life is hard. And, shouldn't have, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. And if you can get a little bit of something that gives you strength, gives you a piece of happiness, and actually empowers you, well, share that everywhere. It's free. Like, I know you come to us, but you can self hypnotize. There's so much stuff online. Like, why not share that and let people know? Like, you've nothing to lose. Like, even
Yeah,
if you don't believe, give it a go. Like, and just like prove yourself wrong. Like, you've nothing to prove. Like, I'm not there to change. I am there to change minds, but you know what I mean. I'm not there to tell someone, this is how to do it. It's what has worked for me, so I believe in it. And as I said, I want to see people. I hate seeing people come in and, and they've got the weight of the world on their shoulder. Like, it's really
yeah,
rushing, and you're kind of going, it doesn't have to be this way. I know
definitely.
it's easy to say that when you're through something, but it really is a tool that should be used more, I think, and I'd love to see it been used more. I'd love to see kids doing it in schools, like, down the road maybe. But I just think it would be the potential that it has. I think we could solve a lot of, anxiety, stress, and kids these days, and everything is just, it has so much goodness that is not being used.
Absolutely. And it empowers people. We said this already, I know, but it empowers
Mm,
people to help themselves.
that's it.
And, as you said as well, like, it's a great way to, focus on like the positive aspects of your life.
Yeah.
and, step away from the doom and gloom, because it really is a perspective. Like,
Mm.
there's enough doom and gloom out there and woe in the world that if you look for it, you'll see it, and that'll be your
Yeah.
reality.
Well, the
But
brain will, as you know, is a pattern matching machine,
indeed,
which, so if we're focusing, like focus is everything. So if you are, and it's very hard not to,
you
like
see what you want to see then,
but we're bombarded. I think it's nearly even more than that, Trevor. I was like, part of me is like, what hope do you have? Like, if you get up and turn on the news and you're going in, like, you can't escape it. Like, so you really have a decision to make and to take back. It's about taking back control and being very selective with what you expose yourself to, because for that reason that, like you said, it's your, if you are going to look for the negative, you're going to get it. Your brain is going to help you get it. It's going to look for it. But having said that, the opposite is true. So if you start feeding it positive, and like, I mean, I walk to the bus stop in the morning, and look, I don't spring out of bed every morning full of the joys
Yeah,
going, yes, I want to go. There are days where I'm like, oh
me
God, I'm
neither.
tired. But
Yeah,
I will force myself. I am very aware of how our brains work. So I go, I start speaking to myself, this is going to be amazing. Can't wait for this day. By the time I get to
yeah,
the bus stop, I'm looking, I'm listening to the birds singing. I'm like, that is a beautiful song. I'm aware of the air. It's very fresh. I'm searching for positives so that my brain will repeat that and give me more positives. So I think we have to be very
it's
aware
brilliant.
of it works, but
Oh,
it
it does
works.
work. I mean, what we
Yeah,
focus on, what we give our energy to grows.
yeah.
So,
And it's like saying that we're not going to have great days every day. We're not trying
absolutely
to
true.
say that
Yeah,
life is just like positive, positive, and everything
sure.
is rosy. It's not. We're going to have hard days, but if we know how our brains work and know what we can do to help ourselves, well, it does take the edge off it, and you can flip it so that by the time you get into work, you're actually fine, So like you didn't jump out of bed, but you can switch that around, and it's just about learning how to do it.
Yeah, and focusing your energy on something,
Good.
things that are going to, vitalize you and fill you full of, good feelings
Yeah.
and positivity, because, there's, like, I was there before myself, being there, done that word and t-shirt many years ago, where, like, you'd be watching the news and stuff like that, and you'd be taking all that energy
Yeah.
on.
Absolutely.
And whereas now the difference is, since I found hypnosis, I'm very specific and careful to what I focus on and put my energy to.
Yeah.
So, I don't watch the news anymore. I
Neither
don't
do I.
even, I don't listen to the radio, the mainstream radio in the
No,
car. I have
I'm
my
saying.
CDs. I'm old school that way, folks. But and I very much focus on, things that are going to, to feed my soul, really.
Yeah.
And you've heard the term high vibrational state versus low vibrational state, because
Yeah.
sometimes when focusing on all of the bad in the world and all the woe in the world, that's all you're going to see. And that's
Yeah.
going to, like, pull you down into that low vibrational
Oh,
frequency.
it is 100%. And I'm not saying to put your head in the sand and pretend it's not happening, but just not to get sucked into it, and just to be aware without having that emotional reaction to it, And I think, again, that's what hypnosis allows you
Exactly.
to do. It's just to kind of give yourself a little step back, just a little step away from things, to be able to observe rather than absorb.
Well, that's it. I mean, to stand and stay in your power,
Mm.
like, you can do much more that way anyway, because
Yeah,
if you're in that
absolutely.
mode where, the flight or fight response is going off in your body, like,
Yeah,
a dozen times a day, when you're hearing all the news and all this stuff,
yeah.
then, that's not going to be good for
You're
yourself,
not going to be helpful for anyone, and
for anyone. It starts with
you're not.
yourself, doesn't it? You have to look after yourself first, number one. And
It is, yeah. And like, I mean, yeah, you fill your own cup and it overflows. Like, I mean, if you're raising kids or whatever, they're not going to get the best version of yourself if we're, you know, in like you say, that fight or flight mode, or they pick up on it so easily. And we've all been in rooms where you can, you know, you can feel the tension. So it does spread out, like people are aware of it. Or if we're like feeling that way, we're probably going to be a little bit more ratty. We might, you know, we just, then others around us aren't getting the best. So it is, you know, self-care. It's basically, it's self-care. And everyone benefits. It's not just us, as I said, it feeds out to our workplace, to our families, to everyone we interact with that day. And then if
Absolutely.
you come into the room and you have someone who's like feeling amazing, that spreads out. You know, you've been in rooms where there's some person and they just are
Light up the room. Yeah,
exactly, and that ripples out as well. So
absolutely
it
true.
is, yeah.
Words of wisdom. Melanie, I've really enjoyed the discussion that I've had with you here today. I was just wondering at the
Likewise,
time,
Trevor. Yeah,
is there any
perfect.
words of wisdom? I know you've given a lot already. Is there anything you'd like to share with myself and my listeners
Oh,
before
the
we say goodbye
pressure.
today? I
Wisdom.
know, putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, do you know, I said to you earlier, my very first weekend of hypnosis when I was training, I met a girl that was training with us, and I hope she may or may not see this. But anyway, I'm going to tell this little story, because it stuck with me up, and it's my motto now. She doesn't realize this. She probably doesn't even remember this conversation, but she was a magician. And I know we come
Yeah.
across magicians all the time now in hypnosis, but back then I had never met a magician, especially a gorgeous looking girl that she was and still is. And I was like, how did you get into, how did you become a magician? And she used to do kids' birthday parties. She had her own business. And she said that she did the balloon, like, no, she used to just do like little magic tricks. And then one party, one of the dads asked her, could she do balloon sculpting, you know, where you make like the giraffes and all that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she was like, yes, absolutely. And then she went home and she was like, oh my God, like how am I going to do that? She'd never done it before, and went into panic mode. And she learned how to do balloon modeling, and she went and did an amazing party.
Good.
And she said, I've always just said yes to every opportunity that came my way. And when she said that, I realized I had been the opposite. I had always said no. And I had opportunities come my way, but because I lacked self, I would have gone, I don't know how to make balloons. I would have said no, because I hadn't got that self-belief. I didn't have that self-confidence. And I turned down so many opportunities. And really, from that point on, that has been my motto: just say yes. So I have made this pact with myself, and I've shared it now with clients and friends, and everyone who's been talking to me is like, knows that I say it. I'm just like, just say yes to every opportunity that comes your way,
Yeah.
even if you don't feel ready. So that is my words of wisdom: just say yes. And it's terrifying, but it's also amazing. And here I am on your podcast, Trevor, because I have said yes. Now, the me 5 years, actually less than 5 years ago, may have said no, because I went, oh God, I would have had doubt. So just say yes and choose yourself. Just choose yourself and see where that
Absolutely.
leads you.
Well said. Great words of wisdom. Melanie.
Now I take no responsibility if someone ends up somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, at your own peril.
Well, look at
So
Melanie.
you said yes.
Thanks very much for your time
It's
today.
been an absolute pleasure, Trevor, and best of luck with season 2. So far, as any of the ones I've seen, and I've some ready to watch, have been amazing. So well done.
Brilliant. Thank you. And I'm enjoying doing them. Like, you know, speaking to amazing people like yourself, it's just, you know, it's something that I get a real buzz off. And, you know, it's really the reason that I'm doing this podcast, because at the end of the day, I enjoy doing them. And that's the main
Brilliant. Well,
reason.
that's the best. Isn't that the best reason? You're choosing
Yeah,
yourself, Trevor. You're already doing it.
Exactly, because the hour or so that I've been talking to you, I know I benefited from that hour of
Likewise.
like the chat and the great discussion that we've had. So you're inspiring me here today. So if you're inspiring me, I'm sure you're inspiring our watchers
Oh,
and
you're too
listeners out
kind,
there as
Trevor.
well. So thanks very much for your time. I
No
really appreciate
problem.
it.
Talk to you later, Trevor. Take care.
And just look after yourselves. So we'll be in
You
touch,
too.
and
Bye.
we'll see you. We'll see you soon. See
Yeah.
you, Melanie.
Bye.
Bye bye. So, folks, that's Melanie Hargrove. What a wonderful lady and great, fantastic hypnotist she is, and she's doing some fantastic work, especially when it comes to the weight loss, as you heard all about her 6-week program. So the time has come again to say goodbye, and until next time, the next episode of the Power Within podcast, be good to yourself, take care, and we'll see you on the next episode of the podcast. Take care, folks.